Tori Kelly.
Tori Kelly?
Well, Tori Kelly.
I'm doing everything, and I love this music, but something's not clicking. Like, what is it? There's still that kind of pressure of like, okay, now you've been in this industry, but like, what else you got? Wow us, shock us. Like, it's all about like shock factor now, I feel like. But I think for me, it's more, oh, wait, but like, can I just still be myself and like do what I'm doing? Like, is that cool too? And so I'm still the same. Like, I'm going to stay true to who I've always been, even if I'm having a little more fun with like sounds and my style and whatever, like that, the core of who I am is always going to be the same.
So let's talk about Tori Kelly. She's one of the most talented vocalists of our generation. Her range is incredible. Her control is effortless.
Carry me home.
And her tone is instantly recognizable. She's won Grammys, worked with some of the biggest names in music, and built a dedicated fan base that has followed her for over a decade. And yet, somehow, she's still one of the most underrated names in the industry. It doesn't make sense. She can outsing half of the pop industry and has been putting in work for years. So why does it feel like she never got the mainstream success she deserves? Hello everybody, it's Nessi. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. By the way, I got a few comments about the way I speak and how I sound robotic or boring or whatever. As you can probably tell, English is not my first language and I can't help it. It's just the way I sound. I'm not an energetic, bubbly, happy person IRL, and when I record, I can't just put on an energetic persona. But I'm doing my best, you know, I'm still learning how to make videos, so please give me some grace. In today's video, we're taking a closer look at Tori Kelly's career because her story isn't just about talent, it's about how the music industry works, who it chooses to push, and why some of the best artists never get the recognition they deserve. If someone with this much talent, this much acclaim, and this much dedication still isn't a household name, then what's really going on? Before she was the powerhouse vocalist we know today, Tori Kelly was just a kid from California with a dream. At just 10 years old, Tori was already stepping onto stages and winning competitions. She competed on America's Most Talented Kids and beat future R&B star Hunter Hayes. Yeah, 10 years old Kelly was out singing people who had record deals in the works. That should have been the first clue that she wasn't just another kid singer. She had real star power. But despite this early success, things didn't happen overnight. If anything, the industry kept trying to mold her into something she wasn't. At 12, she signed a record deal with Geffen Records, which in theory sounds like a dream come true, but in reality, it was one of those classic industry stories where a young artist gets signed, nothing happens, and then they get dropped. This was a major wake-up call for Tori. She had already experienced the highs of being a child star, and now, at just 14 years old, she was learning how brutal the music industry could be. But instead of letting this crush her dreams, she did something that set her apart from a lot of artists. She took control of her own career. It was the mid-2000s and YouTube was slowly becoming the go-to platform for artists who weren't being pushed by major labels. So Tori, like a lot of independent musicians at the time, started uploading covers. If you were around during the era of YouTube, you know that Tori's covers were different. She wasn't just singing along to instrumentals, she was playing guitar, doing unique arrangements. and showing off insane vocal control.
You're all mine. Gravity wants to bring me down.
By 2010, Tori had already built a small following online, but she decided to take a more traditional route and audition for American Idol.
My name is Tori Kelly. I'm 16 years old and I'm from Canyon Lake, California, and I'm a high school student.
And let's just say it did not go the way you'd expect.
Good voice.
Sorry.
Tori made it to Hollywood Week, but in a move that aged horribly, Simon Cowell told her that her voice was annoying.
No, that's
Stop it.
ridiculous. She's got a good voice.
Sorry. I don't think so
No.
at all. I thought your voice was almost annoying.
To be fair, Simon is known for making bad calls. This is the same guy who rejected Beyoncé's entire group back in the day, but still, it was yet another reminder that Tori wasn't going to get the easy route in the industry. But instead of letting that discourage her, she went right back to doing what she does best, making music on her own terms. At this point, most artists would have either given up or desperately tried to chase another label deal, but Tori, she doubled down on being independent. She kept posting covers, gained a loyal following, and in 2012, she took the ultimate independent artist move. She produced, wrote, and released her own EP, Handmade Songs by Tori Kelly. She literally recorded it in her bedroom and still managed to chart on Billboard. And this was a game changer because it proved that Tori didn't need a major label to be successful. Around this time, she started getting noticed by big names in the industry, including Scooter Braun, who would eventually become her manager. And look, I know the name Scooter Braun is a loaded topic in the music industry, but back in 2013, he was one of the most powerful managers in the business. He was handling Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, so signing with him was a big deal. And it kinda worked. Under Scooter's management, Tori finally signed a major deal with Capitol Records and started working on her debut album. After years of setbacks, label struggles, and being ignored by the industry, it looked like she was finally about to have her big moment. And for a while, it really seemed like it was going to happen. So by 2015, it seemed like Tori was about to have her moment. She signed with Capitol Records, dropped her debut album, and even opened for Ed Sheeran on tour. For context, Ed Sheeran was one of the biggest artists in the world at that point. He was selling out arenas, topping charts, and getting major industry support. So for Tori to open for him, it was a big deal. And she wasn't just some forgettable opening act either. I mean, it's Tori Kelly. Every night she was proving she could hold her own next one of the biggest names in music. She had everything going for her. The album had bangers like Nobody Love and Should Have Been Us. She performed at the VMAs and even got a Grammy nomination for Best New Artist. This should have been the moment where Tori became a household name, but instead, the industry kind of just left her hanging. Let's take a step back and look at the pop scene in 2015. This was the era of big personalities, heavy branding, and viral moments. Ariana Grande was coming off My Everything, transitioning into a full-on superstar. Taylor Swift was in her 1989 era, basically ruling the entire industry. And then you had artists like Halsey and Meghan Trainor breaking through with strong marketable images. Meanwhile, Tori was Well, just Tori. A girl with a guitar, incredible vocals, and no industry gimmick. And look, being authentic is great, but let's be honest, the music industry doesn't always reward authenticity. The industry thrives on narratives. When you think about it, Ariana had the child star to pop diva arc, Taylor Swift had her country to pop crossover storyline, even Halsey was marketed as this rebellious Tumblr era pop star. So what was Tori Kelly's story? She wasn't controversial, she wasn't flashy, she didn't have some dramatic rise to fame, she was just a really good singer. And unfortunately, sometimes that isn't enough. Her album did okay, but it wasn't breaking records. Nobody Love barely cracked the Billboard Top 40. Should Have Been Us got some radio play, but it wasn't a massive hit. And this is where the industry kinda just dropped the ball on her. Instead of doubling down and pushing her to radio, Capitol seemed to just give up. I think if Tori had come out in the late 90s or early 2000s, she would have been a huge deal. Think Christina Aguilera, JoJo, even Alicia Keys. These were singers first and the industry actually pushed them. By the late 2010s, labels weren't looking for singers, they wanted brands. And Tori just wasn't willing to change herself for the industry, and rightfully so. It's not that she flopped, she was still selling out shows, still had a dedicated fan base, but the industry never fully invested in her the way they did for other artists. Here's the thing about the music industry, it loves a specific type of artist. If you're going to break into mainstream pop, you either need a huge viral moment or you have to fit into a very specific pop persona that labels can easily market. And unfortunately for Tori, she didn't have either of those. It's not that she wasn't talented enough. If anything, she was too talented, like the kind of talented where labels don't know what to do with you because you don't need the usual industry tricks to sound good. Capitol Records tried to package her as a traditional pop star with Unbreakable Smile. They gave her radio-friendly singles, they had her working with Max Martin, and they even pushed for the whole relatable acoustic girl next door aesthetic, and it kinda worked for a little bit. She got radio play, some high-profile performances, and a Grammy nomination for Best New Artist, but something still wasn't clicking. Unlike her peers, Tori wasn't playing the game the way the industry wanted her to. The truth is, mainstream success isn't just about talent, it's about image. The pop stars that really take off usually go through some kind of big reinvention, a moment where they shed their old identity and become something new and exciting, and Tori refused to do that.
I think as a female, like in the music industry, in mainstream pop music, whatever, there's a certain pressure for sure. I think to look a certain way and maybe be a little more revealing, and I think as a kid being thrown into that and knowing like that's just not who I am. And I knew that from very young. I was so determined. I was like, this can't be the only element that's missing. Like I should still be able to do what I love and not do that.
Instead of doing a complete makeover to fit industry trends, she stayed grounded in her sound, her style, and her personality. She wasn't scandalous, she wasn't controversial, and in an industry that thrives on drama and reinvention, Tori's authenticity might have actually worked against her. Here's the thing, Tori Kelly might not be a chart-topping superstar, but she's still thriving. After years of navigating the industry, she's gone back to being independent. And honestly, it really suits her. Without the pressure of labels trying to fit her into a box, she's free to experiment and make the music she actually wants to make. And the moment she did, people paid attention. In 2013, Tori made a full-on pop comeback with her self-titled EP, and when she dropped Missing You, an early 2000s inspired R&B song, it actually went viral on TikTok. Suddenly, people who had forgotten about Tori Kelly rediscovered her and became fans again. I saw a lot of comments saying, why did she leave? What happened to her? Why did she disappear from the music industry? But here's the wild part, she never actually left. The industry might have pushed her to the background, but her fans never stopped showing up. So Tori is not just surviving, she's winning in her own way. She's built a solid fan base that doesn't rely on hype. She's been co-signed by some of the biggest vocalists in the game, and yeah, she casually won 2 Grammys, no big deal. Even though the industry never fully gave her the mainstream push she deserved, the respect is undeniable. Artists admire her.
I've actually been a Tori Kelly fan since I was, I think, 11. And I remember downloading All in My Head. And I remember I couldn't do runs at that time, and I just dreamed about doing runs. And I remember listening to her being like, she's so pretty. And I'd be like, pretty, pretty.
Vocalists study her. She's worked with legends, covered Whitney Houston flawlessly, and continues to prove why she's in a league of her own. But the most interesting part, even now it feels like she's just getting started again. Tori's been teasing new music, testing out different sounds, and slowly reintroducing herself to an audience that may have overlooked her before. And with the way music is shifting back toward raw talent and actual vocals, the timing couldn't be better. At this point, Tori Kelly doesn't need mainstream success. She's built a career that's long-lasting, and that's more than a lot of artists who had their moments can say, because while trends come and go, raw talent never fades. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. By the way, this video was inspired by a viewer. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And also, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love reading your comments. It's my favorite part. And with that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon.